Come, let us explore this desk's meditation class and group practice, that we too could meditate like a Jedi. This evening's lesson is based upon the 41st passage of the meditation classic, The Unwaning Victory Banner, composed many centuries ago by the great Buddhist reformer Vajra. Together let us relaxingly recite. Without a remainder, it is fully perfected. Unchanging, it always remains whole. Boundless equality is like open space. It does not depend on anything else. So boundless equality is the subject of this entire passage. It is that which is referred to by the pronouns it. Whoops, I'm having trouble with my coordination. Okay, so let's go back over here and hit boundless equality and see if I can't make this work. Boundless equality. Let's see if I can't remove the bold, give it italics, and make it significantly smaller. Let's see if it fits on the screen. Wunderbar, das ist wunderbar. Let's go over here. Ooh, that's not right. Let's go over here. That's still not right. What's going on here? Oh, it's supposed to be this one. Okay. Well, in the words of David Letterman, we're having some fun. We're having some fun now, eh, kids? Okay. So I'm going to do another edit because for some reason my creativity peaks during class. Okay, and let's do it one last time. Okay, so now that we've elucidated the pronouns, let's try this again. Without a remainder, boundless equality is fully perfected. Unchanging, boundless equality always remains whole. Boundless equality is like open space. It does not depend on anything else. So, we are exploring interdependence. We are exploring impermanence. And we're exploring enlightenment. And this is only going to make sense if we really get the idea of noticing the antics of mind and relaxing into mind's nature. And that's only going to make sense if we take a gander at some visual aids. And by the way, this text and the visual aids are available for free download. The essence of enlightenment is the Buddha's Eightfold Path. The seventh fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path is mindfulness. The eighth fold is meditation. So what if enlightenment was nothing more than mastery of the Eightfold Path, getting so good at our practice of the Eightfold Path that we practice it spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. The Buddha taught that it is possible to master this Eightfold Path in as little as 7 days. How is that possible? Well, number one, by simply practicing mindfulness, the seventh fold, and meditation, the eighth fold, the remaining sixth folds take care of themselves. By simply noticing whatever comes up and then relaxing as we breathe out, we cannot hide from change. No matter how hard we try, the evidence of change hits us about the head and shoulders. That's the first fold. The second, third, fourth, and fifth folds pertain to loving kindness. The more we practice mindfulness and meditation, the more we automatically gently stimulate our anterior cingulate gyrus, which functions as the hub of our mirror neurons, the seat of empathy. This is why the late Tulku Thondup insisted that the highest love is the spontaneous and uncontrived byproduct of our practice of mindfulness and meditation. For instance, kindness of intention, kindness of communication, kindness of conduct, and kindness of commerce. The sixth fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path is right effort. Now, if you were to ask someone, if you were to ask 90% of Buddhists, they would answer from the perspective of Yang's religious patriarchy. They'd say, well, hey, right effort means, just gutting it out and working hard. Because these guys are rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, and elitist. But ask the 10% who are oriented towards yin spiritual matriarchy, and they'll explain right effort. They will insist that right effort is effortless effort because they come at it from a place of being flexible, loving, rational, laid back, and egalitarian. And those 6 things are the inevitable consequence of playing with mindfulness and meditation for as little as 5 minutes every 12 hours or so for 7 consecutive days. Now that we understand the benefits of mindfulness and meditation, let's explore the mechanics. There is much confusion on the subject of mindfulness and meditation, but few things bring it into focus quite like neuroscience. Every time we inhale, we have evolved to automatically access the portion of our spinal cord or autonomic nervous system that's in the middle. And the fancy name for that is the sympathetic nervous system. This middle bit has evolved to help us to notice in a very special way. To notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. To notice what? To notice all manner of phenomena, from the external to the internal, from the physical to the mental, from the pleasurable to the painful, from the interesting to the boring, from the glorious to the grotesque, including perceiving sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like, including emotions, the full spectrum of human emotions, intentions, cognitions, recollections, and imaginings. And that brings us back to tonight's lesson text. And that's why we use the term boundless, because as we inhale, there is no limit to what we can notice. This isn't the rigidity of concentration where we focus on some things and push other things away, because that's the duality. That's falling into the trap of duality. On the path of non-duality, we are completely vulnerable to whatever comes up, even if it's scary or uncomfortable. Hence we use the term boundless. But where does equality factor into it? Because he said, while vamping, there is a significant difference between the external and the internal. There's a difference between the physical and the mental, between the pleasurable and the painful, between the interesting and the boring, between the glorious and the grotesque. Yes, as we breathe in, there is a difference, but what happens when we breathe out? Every time we breathe out, we have evolved to automatically access the part of our spinal cord, the part of our autonomic nervous system at the tips, kind of like bookends on a shelf. And these bits have evolved to help us to physically relax and mentally release to such a degree that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel less stressful, less permanent, and less defining. Now, in every human culture, we can find figurative language, and the Buddha's teachings are no exception. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever we noticed during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void. Now, my fourth grade English teacher, my fourth grade teacher, because she wore many hats, my fourth grade teacher insisted that a simile is only as effective as it is relatable. Therefore, we have to ask the question, what is a real-world example of a non-graspable, vast, empty void? How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although could look tantalizing to the eye, feels non-graspable to the hand? So, yes, as we breathe in, we notice dualities. But as we relax into our exhalation, whatever was external or internal we might have noticed during our previous inhalation, as we relax into our exhalation, these two things seem to melt into the same flavor of emptiness. The external and the internal seem to melt into the simplicity of location. Pleasurable and painful melt into the simplicity of sensation, and the like. And that's where the idea of equality fits in. So as we breathe in, we cannot help but notice diversity. And as we exhale and relax, we cannot help but notice unity. But remember the first fold of the Eightfold Path, change. So even our experience of emptiness, profound though it may be, is fleeting. And as we involuntarily begin our next inhalation, the cycle begins anew. So I've done a lot of talking about boundless equality. Is there an easy way to practice it? Yes. Yes, there is. Every time we feel our diaphragm pull in and down as we breathe in, we can silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this as we passively notice the antics of mind. Each time we feel our diaphragm relax back up into its resting position, as we exhale, we can silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease as we relax into mind's non-graspable nature. Now that Now that I have reminded you of the groundwork, let us apply it specifically to the 3 points of this evening's lesson. Without a remainder, boundless equality is fully perfected. As we breathe in, we cannot help but notice the messiness and gruesomeness of life. Every human, no matter how pretty, wakes up with halitosis. Every human urinates, defecates, and is going to vomit at least once in their lives. We are messy. And yet, as we relax into our exhalation, even the biggest messes are perfected in the fleeting experience of non-graspability. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever we noticed during our previous inhalation seems less flawed. Now, this is not a one-time thing. This is a constant thing. Whenever we cooperate with our autonomic nervous system, whenever we passively, vulnerably, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly cooperate with our autonomic nervous system, we always experience the diversity and the unity. So it's one thing. Imagine right now we're in an elevator in an office building at rush hour and it's packed. Now imagine the opposite. You're on a beautiful grassy knoll at the top of a mountain overlooking a beautiful vista. Imagine the profundity of possibility we would experience, the flavor of limitlessness. During each inhalation, we are wired to notice whatever comes up, real or imagined or remembered or a blend of all the above, pleasurable or painful, interesting or boring, glorious or grotesque, interesting or boring, nothing is off limits. It does not depend on anything else. Sturgeon's law reminds us that in 90% of everything sucks, but no, Virginia, not in the fun, tingly way. What could this suckiness look like? Looks like the majority of us being raised, being conditioned to be rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel. And in our controlling tendencies, in our elitist tendencies, in our fearful tendencies, we think if it's to be, it's up to me, and I've got to make it happen, and other assorted malarkey. And we go through life ruining things in an effort to control them, even with the best of intentions. Our controlling tendencies always end in tears. But the author is inferring in this text that by simply cooperating with our autonomic nervous system, and doing so vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly, which is the opposite of being controlling, then our awareness and our release is perfect. Regardless of our circumstantial variables or our physical variables or our interpersonal variables or our mental variables, regardless of what's present, regardless of what's absent, simply by cooperating with our own spinal cord and all that it is attached to or connected to, makes the boundless equality as close as our next breath. Having concluded our opening lesson, we can now shift gears. It is Rey Skywalker's Sunday evening. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is the Dzogchen Sunday Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I have harnessed my autistic special interests as well as my ADHD hyperfocus so that I could spend about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that I could become your personal, nerdy, neurodivergent guide to nirvana. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. For the remainder of this evening's live stream, let's practice just what we preached, or what I preached, mindfulness and meditation. Now, the moment you have a specific question, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window, for I tend to check for questions about once every 5 to 10 minutes or so. The easiest way to keep track of our first collection of 144 inhalations is for us to rest the first knuckle at the base of our right index finger upon the tip of our left index finger, palms up in our lap. We could count the next 12 inhalations by touching the tip of our right thumb to the first, second, and third sets of creases found on each of our right hand's 4 fingers. We could count 12 sets of 12 inhalations each by touching the tip of our left thumb to the first, second, and third sets of creases on all 4 fingers of our left hand. Now I'm going to adjust it so we've been sitting for the better part of 25 minutes. You may want to adjust your legs, especially if you're as old as me. As Obi-Wan Kenobi said to Luke Skywalker aboard the Millennium Falcon, "You have taken your first step into a much larger world." And as some bloke what sits upon YouTube, if you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. If you wish, you could also help support this channel. In approximately 11 and a half hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's dawn meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.